Imagine a rare, totally catastrophic earthquake, one so powerful it literally forces the massive, mighty Mississippi River to stop, completely reverse its flow, and run backward. Welcome to this edition of The Explainer. Today we're unpacking the 1811 New Madrid cataclysm. It's an event that absolutely defies the laws of nature. Honestly, it sounds way more like a Hollywood disaster blockbuster than recorded American history. Just picture it. A massive, muddy, churning river violently rushing upstream. It's creating these huge whitewater rapids, literally smashing heavy wooden pioneer flatboats into splinters, all under this incredibly dark, dust-filled, completely ominous sky. It's terrifying, right? But how is an inland tsunami like this even physically possible?
Section 1. An impossible phenomenon.
Okay, let's dive into this. To understand how an impossible phenomenon, like a reversing river, actually happens, we kind of have to look at the setting. Now, if you were hanging out in the central United States in the winter of 1811, you would have thought you were in one of the most geologically peaceful regions on the planet. I mean, no volcanoes, no daily tremors for the locals to worry about. It was just a quiet, freezing frontier. But that geology was hiding a monster. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, running right along the Mississippi River basin, is this massive fault system known as the New Madrid Seismic Zone. And this wasn't some dead, inactive fault. It was silently building up an absolutely unfathomable amount of tectonic stress, secretly reaching a violent breaking point right beneath this totally unsuspecting landscape. Well, that quiet winter didn't last. With absolutely zero warning, the calm was shattered. On December 16th, 1811, the Earth finally snapped. A literal monster of an earthquake suddenly erupted from the depths. And we're not just talking about a minor tremor here. This was a cataclysmic release of subterranean energy that struck with terrifying sudden violence. Think about the sheer suspense of that moment. 1 second of absolute pioneer silence, and the very next, the literal tearing of the Earth's crust. And what happened next brilliantly illustrates the mind-blowing scale of the event. The shockwaves from this eruption were so incredibly powerful, they traveled thousands of miles right across the continent from the Midwest epicenter. I'm talking strong enough to wake up sleeping citizens in Washington, D.C. And get this, the vibrations actually caused church bells to ring on their own all the way over in Boston, Massachusetts. Just let that sink in for a second. Section 2. The rolling earth. So for the people actually near the epicenter, the ground didn't just shake. The violence of these tremors basically transformed the physical geography of the Midwest, and the normal rules of solid ground completely ceased to exist. Eyewitnesses reported a visceral, deeply unsettling phenomenon, seriously straight out of a disaster movie. The Earth actually began to move in literal, visible waves, exactly like the rolling waves of the ocean. Imagine looking out at a flat dirt field and seeing the soil swell and roll toward you in massive, rhythmic crusts. The solid bedrock of the Earth was behaving like a liquid. And as those massive earthen waves crested, they broke. The immense geological pressure cracked the Earth wide open. Huge, deep chasms violently tore across the landscape. We are not talking about little cracks in the dirt here. These were massive fissures that swallowed entire old-growth forests whole, literally dragging giant trees straight down into the depths of the Earth in a matter of seconds. Because all that pressure beneath the surface, it had to go somewhere, right? The rolling waves and the cracking earth triggered massive geysers that shot dozens of feet into the dark sky. But this wasn't clear, sparkling water. These were terrifying explosions of thick, black mud, pressurized sand, and this noxious, coal-tainted water just blasting out of the ground. It was raining down on whoever was lucky, or maybe unlucky, enough to survive the initial shaking. The terraforming forces at play were so extreme that the entire hydrology of the region was rewritten in an instant. On one hand, you had massive lakes that simply cracked open at the bottom and instantly drained right away into the subterranean faults, completely gone. But then, on the other hand, the land subsided so violently in other areas that brand new, massive lakes were created overnight right where dry land and forests used to be. The map was literally being redrawn in real time. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 3, the river runs backward. Because as horrifying as the rolling earth and those black geysers were, the climax of this cataclysm, the anomaly that truly defies our understanding of nature, happened right on the mighty Mississippi River itself. Here is exactly how this chaotic twist of physics played out. Step 1. The violent shifting of the tectonic plates caused a severe, massive structural rupture directly underneath the riverbed. Step 2. This rupture caused parts of the river bottom to violently thrust upward, creating sudden, steep waterfalls right in the middle of the Mississippi, while other parts collapsed into severe depressions. And step 3, all that immense kinetic energy and the sudden change in elevation blocked the southbound water, forcing the massive turning river to literally rebound and violently reverse its direction. For hours, the Mississippi River ran violently backward. Flowing upstream into itself, it gathered an unbelievable volume of water and debris, creating a terrifying, muddy inland tsunami. The destruction was absolute. Those heavy vintage wooden boats navigating the river smashed to splinters in the whitewater rapids. Entire islands that had existed in the river for centuries were completely obliterated by the churning currents. And tragically, the surging reverse waters swallowed a nearby river settlement whole, basically wiping it right off the face of the earth.
Section 4. The Forgotten Monster. When we look back at the sheer apocalyptic scale of this event, ocean-like waves of solid earth, geysers of black mud, a reversed mega-river, it begs a massive question. Why isn't this horrifying 1811 cataclysm taught alongside other famous natural disasters? Well, the answer lies in the demographics. The American Midwest back then was an incredibly sparsely populated frontier. Because there weren't major, densely packed metropolitan cities sitting right on top of the fault line, the human death toll was actually incredibly low compared to the sheer geological scale of the destruction. It's this lack of a massive population center that kind of kept the true earth-shattering scale of the disaster somewhat obscured from the standard historical memory of our nation.
So the crucial point comes down to the number 10. Since we obviously didn't have seismographs back in 1811, modern scientists have had to rely on the geological record, fault analysis, and historical accounts, like those church bells ringing in Boston, to estimate just how strong this monster really was. And the multiplier they came up with is absolutely shocking. When you compare the 1811 New Madrid quakes to the famously devastating 1906 San Francisco earthquake, an event that, burned a major city to the ground and is etched into global history, scientists estimate that the San Francisco quake was up to 10 times weaker than what hit the Midwest in 1811. No way, right? The New Madrid cataclysm was a release of energy so vast it permanently altered the physical geography of the American heartland. This entire event serves as a deeply chilling reminder. The Earth is capable of launching sudden, chaotic, structural anomalies that define nature completely. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. If a geologically quiet, sparsely populated frontier could secretly harbor enough power to make the mighty Mississippi literally flow backward, what unseen forces are silently building beneath our own feet right now, just waiting for the Earth to snap once again? Thanks for learning with me today. Stay curious, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.